program was made to encourage you to think in a different way about crime and punishment. Imagine that the crimes against humanity known as transatlantic slavery were committed by others against Europeans. Assume that it was Africans, for example, who went to Europe and shipped away millions of Europeans and massacred millions more for 400 years of profit. Imagine that the descendants of the enslaved now demand reparations from the slave trading nations and corporations that benefited from slavery. Imagine that you are a criminologist interested in developing a criminological theory for reparative justice to address these enormous crimes against humanity. Will you rely on classical criminology with a focus on making the punishment fit the crime? But what sort of punishment would fit the crime of 400 years of genocide and Holocaust? Or would you rely on the theories of criminological positivism that assumed the pathological offender, whereas the slave traders were assumed to be rational, to be normal, rather than being pathological? Would you rely on the theories of the Chicago School that assumed that the inner city locations are where you find the most criminals, whereas those who committed the Holocaust of transatlantic slavery are more likely to live in the suburbs? Or would you rely on critical criminology mixed with elements of restorative justice that you find in third world countries to develop a new theory for reparative justice?
For what explanation you're giving is whether you can comment on the fact from the transatlantic slave gallery that many Liverpool city mayors were also slave traders in those days. So there is perhaps a resolution for the council and the road to pass on behalf of the people of Liverpool. But you, as the deputy mayor, are you prepared to make a statement of apology on behalf of those past mayors who were your predecessors, who were slave traders themselves? But that's just one question. Another question I would like to ask is, when you said that you are considering options, innovative ways, suggestions of how to approach and implement maybe your resolutions for what is to be done regarding what was done in the past. I'd like to know if you've considered, especially because you raised the issue of asylum seekers and refugees, whether you've considered maybe having another resolution or motion to the fact that people of African descent should be able to travel to Europe and North America without visa restrictions, given the experience of forced removal of African people. There are millions in the past that we have actually earned the right to visit Europe and North America without necessarily having to carry a visa. Apparently there are people in today's world who have such a right, but not people of African descent, so that could also be a way of addressing reparations for the wrongs of the past. In addition to that, maybe also tabling a motion supporting the establishment of scholarship programs for African kids to come and study in Liverpool. It might be one person, it might be 2 persons, but that's better than none. And I think maybe the city council, with its limited budget, could probably be able to afford such a scheme or access grants that would enable such a scheme to be possible. I know the Overseas Development Administration does offer such a program in partnership with authorities, so it could be a shared scholarship scheme with the UADA, but you're paying half and the city paying half. I mean, it doesn't begin to address the enormity of the crimes against people of African descent, but it is better than doing nothing at all. And also in that direction, maybe also tabling a motion in support of the cancellation of the foreign debts that are weighing down the people of Africa today, which today is a modern slave trade. African people are working hard, but they have to pay like 80% of the GPA or GNP to service, not to pay that, but to service the interest on these foreign loans. A country like Nigeria borrowed 13 billion in the 1980s. They paid 28 billion up to today on the loan. They are still owing 28 billion today. Doesn't make sense. It's voodoo economics. And people are calling for such dubious debts to be cancelled as part of the reparations for the crimes of slavery and colonialism. And then finally, of course, there is that call for monetary reparations to be paid, maybe in the form of a small percentage of the annual budget of European and North American governments, paid not as aid, but is dependent on the will of the payer, but as an obligation that should be continued, even if it's half a percentage, even if it's 1%, that is paid annually to these governments that suffer such historic loans. And there are precedents for such reparations to be paid, such as Germany is paying to people in Israel and the state of Israel for the crimes of Nazism, or the reparations paid by America to Japanese Americans who were interned during the Second World War, or the payment in terms of land grants given to Native Americans in recognition of the crimes committed against the people in America. I'm wondering if these could also be fed into your decision.
Fact is, our position is clear on the debt in terms of worldwide debt from countries who can't afford, and we're really dragged into a system of decrepity because of those loans, quite frankly, as they call them. In terms of compensation and other things, I mean, by political managers, if you like, for want of a word, political managers of the council and executive members will take that on board, I'm sure, and put it as part of the debate. I mean, we haven't actually, I don't think, got round to discussing all the issues that need to be discussed, because at the end of the day, we've got to persuade our government to be more realistic about these things. But if it would be within your wish, for us to put it in the debate, I think if you could drop a line to Chris, on the general things that you said, because we've got them going to take it in as such, that I'm sure that Chris, being one of the leading cabinet members of the council, would be prepared to build an agenda around how that could be best. Would that be reasonable?
I'm very happy to do that. The Deputy Mayor is right. I need it in some kind of...
I'll send it back.
Yeah.
so far, you have a wide knowledge of the things that happened in the past as far as this transatlantic slavery is concerned. So you are the right person to ask questions regarding what you think could be done to make both ends, those who suffer it and those who, whatever be the case, to bridge the gap between these people so that they can live and live together. We think there should be something like the form of apology or any form of any other thing that you have in mind that could make things to be better for us.
I can only reiterate, I mean, we're looking for inspiration all the time in order to go forward. I mean, to be knowledgeable of it is something that I can't say totally, you know, every line and every word, but I mean, I've studied this over the years in my past year. What I find now with the refugee problem is that the media do us no favours. The media do us no favours because in everything they create the wrong issues. The refugees from different parts of the country who fled that country because of the tyranny that they were facing should not be isolated and should not be looked upon as a drag, if you like.
Chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Good people chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Down with racism, down with fascism, down with sexism and sectarianism. Down with racism, down with fascism, down with sexism and sectarianism. As long as we know there has been sexism, chauvinism brought sexism. A long time ago there was no racism. Capitalism invented racism. A short while ago there was no fascism. Imperialism started fascism. Down with racism, down with fascism, down with sexism and sectarianism. Down with racism, down with fascism, down with sexism and sectarianism. Good people chant it out loud. Chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Good people chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Neo-Nazi war, tough and tough. Good people gather, one and all. We go chant down Babylon war, like we chant down Berlin war. And we go chant down Rwanda war, like we chant down apartheid war. Good people chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Good people chant out aloud, make everybody hear you. Down with racism, down with fascism, down with sexism and sectarianism. Down with racism, down with fascism.
Actually, I was just saying to my friend that I can remember vividly as a student going down to the nearest point to the city town hall that's on the waterfront, and there were slave rings where they used to be fastened, and that was the first time it had really come home to me how much of the wealth of Liverpool had depended on this quite appalling trade. So in a way I'm coming as a pilgrim.
Okay. What do you think could be done about the past in the present? Do you think the present generation could do something about the past? Maybe by way of a formal apology, or maybe by way of giving something back to Africa?
I think the first thing that could be done is what is being done in making making us much more aware.
A memory.
Yes, and not just a memory, but a living reality. I think, I'm not sure about formal apologies because, I mean, it seems to me if it would help, yes, but I don't quite see how it would. I can't see any problems about it. But formal occasions like that don't really help on the whole. I do think to take seriously the needs of Africans and our awareness that we have robbed Africa, not only by going over there, but by taking some of their rights over here. That's, as it were, continuing in their inheritance. And that we ought to take that into account in any help we get from here. In other words, we need to offer back skills, not just money, but skills, goods, and our hearts and minds.
When this museum was first opened, I never visited really because, in my view, I didn't think it would be teaching me anything. I didn't know about slavery. Now, this is my second visit. The first visit was, again, another occasion where a group of local people had organised a campaign against racism, and they did a play in here which included a tour of this museum. And on that particular occasion, I came here and I brought somebody along who was at the time an 82-year-old woman who knew a lot about the black experience. So that was the reason of my first visit. This is the second. Separation of power. Them fingers separated from them trigger. Them trigger separated from them hammer. And them hammer separated from them.
That if it's been done for others, then indeed it should be done for African Americans, because it probably was outside of the Jewish Holocaust. It probably was one of the most invasive Holocaust things that took place, and it caused the people to lose a lot of time. There was a lot of injustice done to them, and if there is a way that we can offer some kind of incentive, some kind of prize or something to pay these people for what was done to them so that we can help our society to move forward, then I think it's something we should do.
Some people argue that Africans share the responsibility for the transatlantic slavery with Europeans. This is a bit like the view by some criminologists that the rape victim precipitated the rape and shares responsibility for the crime with the rapist. Walter Rodney differed by identifying the few ruling class chiefs that collaborated with Europeans. He emphasized the heroic wars that Africans fought against the European slave Holocaust. The people of African descent are all united as survivors of the Holocaust, who fought back and escaped capture or fought on to survive the genocidal Middle Passage, the dehumanizing plantations, and the white supremacist lynch mobs after emancipation.
To escape slavery from Virginia, had been working on local farms. Now remember, this is the first time in their lives they were working for wages. And so it's a new experience of freedom for these three young men. However, their master hired agents to come after them. Anthony Hollingsworth, and by the way, we know what he looked like, couldn't do anything. They grabbed him, they put him up on a horse, and I know you men can appreciate this more than the women. They tied his legs underneath of the horse's belly and brought him into Indiana along the road. However, remember I told you about Court Week? Yeah. When all the farmers come in and are getting drunk? Well, this becomes problematic at this point, because as the two men brought young Anthony in on the horse, people started coming up to them on the way into town and saying, "What are you doing to that man? You know, what has he done? Is he a murderer? Is he a thief? Why are you treating him that way?" And the big joke, of course, here was that, you know, you could put anybody in the jail and they lasted maybe one day, they always escaped. I mean, you know, everybody knows everybody here, so very rarely do you get any kind of major bad thing happening here. They didn't know who these people were, and they were obviously Southerners. Some of them might have known Anthony, many of them didn't. But by the time these two men had Anthony in town, they brought him to what was then the Indiana House Hotel, and it was on that corner where the dollar store is. It burned in 1963. It was the Penn Furniture Company. That was the Indiana House Hotel. It was a 3 to 4 story hotel owned by David Ralston. And when slave catchers came to town, David Ralston put them up at the Indiana House Hotel. Now, they took poor little Anthony, 12 years old, in chains. They had him up on the 3rd floor. But by the time they got him to the 3rd floor, there was a mob that surrounded the hotel. The citizens of Indiana rose spontaneously. It was Court Week. Half of them were probably drunk. Most of them were probably armed. Well, we know they were armed, with dirks and pistols. Probably a lot of other things. They surrounded the Indiana House Hotel and began yelling, "Free the man! Free the man, or we're going to free him ourselves. We're going to gut the place and burn it down." pause for a minute here. What if burning down being in a 19th century town? It's made mostly of wood. What happens when the biggest hotel in town goes out?
What goes?
The rest of the town goes with it.
Well, I've not been following the debate on the internet. Occasionally, I meet different people who make arguments about it. I think it's not an out-of-place question for us to pursue, because after all, there is a historical precedent in this country for, say, the Japanese who had to receive reparations. The one argument against it from what I've heard is that most of the Japanese were around and so as they directly received the monetary compensation that they were giving. In case of slavery, the question that I have heard from people is, whom are we going to give the money to? But I think because there are inequalities that had arisen in the society based on that historical period and what happened, I believe that paying reparation would probably be a good idea. However, we will need to really rethink how are we going to, if indeed they approve money like that, how are we going to use that? I haven't given it much thought, but I believe that if there is a fund that will be able to help some targeted group of people in the African American communities, that would be at least one option. Probably other people can come up with varieties of options in this. But ethically, I think it is a justified issue. And the difficulty in our society is that when we do injustice collectively to a group of people, it's always going to be a real challenge in the way we try to address the issue. There are going to be different people who may oppose that idea. But it seems to me it's a good idea to at least raise that and put that on the table for further discussion and probably create forums whereby we will have serious discussions both among African American communities as well
Professor
as
Chinwezu, author of The West and the Rest of Us, has this to say on reparations. According to him, African people are latecomers to the demand for reparations. History shows that in 1921, the U.S. paid $25 million to Colombia for excising Panama from Colombia to build the Panama Canal. Secondly, the Mapuche of southern Chile are seeking the return of 30 million acres stolen by European conquerors since 1540. Furthermore, the Inuit or Eskimo of Canada were offered 850,000 square miles of their ancestral land in 1992. In the U.S., claims by the Sioux to the Black lands of South Dakota are in court, and the U.S. government is planning to give 400,000 acres of grazing land to the Navajo and some more to the Hopi in the southwest of the USA. In Australia, the Aboriginals are demanding reparations for the stolen generation of children who were removed from their parents and given to white families. In 1988, the U.S. government admitted wrongdoing in the internment of 120 Japanese Americans under Executive Order 9066 of 1942 during World War II and awarded each internee $20,000. Japan paid reparations to the Asian countries that it occupied in World War II, and North Korea is seeking $5 billion in damages for 35 years of Japanese colonialism. European allies after World War I demanded reparations from Germany fixed at 132 billion gold marks in 1921. Further reparations were demanded at the end of World War II from Germany to the tune of $320 billion. Germany also paid reparations to the Jews for the Nazi Holocaust, including an initial sum of $2 billion plus $952 million in personal indemnities, $35.70 per month to each concentration camp inmate, $820 million for the resettlement of displaced Jews in Israel, and other unspecified amounts. According to Professor Chinwezu, with such precedents, it would be sheer racism to deny reparations to people of African descent for the 500-year-long Holocaust.
Upon them trigger, they have a monologue where we finger upon we trigger.